when's this guy gonna die horribly? To where they can carry the highest debt ratio per their income possible, because that's how banks make more money. And if you're well known for doing really dangerous stunts and destroying private property, a bank or lending institution's probably gonna go, What's up, people? So today we're going to talk about YouTubers, automotive YouTubers, and it's why sometimes they and we can't get a loan or rent a car. And most specifically with the case of WhistlinDiesel. Very popular guy doing off-road trucks, things like that. I think a lot of you already know who he is. And as being a YouTuber, I also subscribe to other YouTubers, and I may not get to watch all the content because I'm busy making it and working on cars and stuff, but I do see things pop up on my YouTube feed, on my Instagram feed, and elsewhere. And the other day I saw one of WhistlinDiesel's pop up on Instagram, and it was a picture of his Audi R8 from the rear and some like Chevy Malibu just right here. And it says, drives this, but not allowed to rent this, with regard to the Chevy Malibu. And he had commented here and writes, or has $500K in the bank, but can't get a loan for anything because you don't have 15 years of pay stubs. Around here, if you ask your bank for cash, they can only get you $3K, and they'll ask you exactly how you got that much money. Please go out of business so people that understand modern economics can take over. You're holding back society. Okay, so that last part was what WhistlinDiesel wrote about that. Now, so I think it goes without saying that WhistlinDiesel's style and my style in terms of automotive YouTubers is different, but I can relate to the guy in this regard. So, forget about the comment about modern society and banks and understanding and such. The trouble is banks actually understand the economics of people and loans perfectly well. Obviously, they're making money. And as an example, the Federal Reserve is by no means government owned. So like there's big banks, there's small banks and everything, and they want to make money. Now, so the reason I said I kind of relate to him is in my own life, I had done the Genius Garage nonprofit where I had taught students for a bunch of years. And by doing that, I didn't get paid, and it was very hard to live, and I had to work on people's cars to make some money to get by. And it was a heck of a lot of sacrifices for a long time. And I didn't make a whole lot of money. I owned a few cars that I had forever because I bought them used. They had already depreciated, and I knew how to take care of cars, so I was able to get by. But I didn't do that well. So, you know, if you're in a position like that, and I think a lot of people are who do YouTubers beforehand, where you're not making a lot of money, or you are in business for yourself, and there's ups and downs, and you just don't have a normal corporate job, that doesn't make it as easy to get loans sometimes. Like, for instance, you might actually, in a circumstance, have a pretty good value of assets and things like that, but if there's fluctuations and whatnot, they don't want to give you a loan. The other interesting thing about banks are, if I wanted to go out and get a loan for a classic car through like a classic car lending institution, they will want to see from you at least, I think, 2 years of, as they put it, loan experience, as well as obviously good credit rating and things like that. Now, the interesting thing about that is I have never had a loan for a car in my life. And the reason being is, one, I don't buy new cars because depreciation is for suckers, in my opinion, and I can work on cars, so I don't need a warranty. So naturally, I'm going to buy cars that have bottomed out in market value, that I can maintain myself, and they hold their values, or in some circumstances might go up. So that was my deal, and I never wanted to have a loan for a car because you're going to pay for interest and you're going to pay for depreciation, both are which are really fast ways to go broke. Not my style, especially when I was trying to get by. So the funny thing is, in a circumstance for me in the past, while I had effectively zero debt and was making an income and had asset values of cars and things I owned in that regard, by these traditional lending institutions, I couldn't get a loan. And they would say, well, you could go out and get a new car and do this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go out and buy some piece of junk car that's going to depreciation that I don't want to drive anyway, just so eventually you might give me a loan. And that's just kind of dumb. But the thing about banks is, in regard to that, banks want to loan to people that will continue needing loans, that will continue going into debt to where they can carry the highest debt ratio per their income possible, because that's how banks make more money. Building and driving race cars is fun, but it's difficult to source unobtainium parts and get the right engineering expertise. Since 1975, Taylor Race Engineering down in Texas has done just that. So whether you're looking for dog rings and straight cut gears for your road racing car, or you are on a college Formula SAE team and you guys need a chain drive differential and trapeze, this is the place you got to call, guys. Or go to the internet at taylor-race.com. You can see a link in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. They want to keep people paying the interest to make money over the course of their life to make money. That's effectively how it works. And in the course of WhistlinDiesel guy talking about how he's got money in the bank, why don't they loan to him, etc., or more specifically in regard to me in the past, I'm looking at thinking of this in terms of business and in the investment, going, this is insane. Like, I own all my own stuff. Like, clearly I'm not an idiot. And in that circumstance, it was funny because one lending institution didn't tell me initially that I needed 2 years of loan experience on a car so they could loan me money to get a car. And I'm thinking, how much experience do I need to write a check once a month? Like, it's not hard. So it's frustrating. And I actually overcame that in the past by finding a community bank that was really good, that obviously met me, know what I'm all about, where I'm going, that I have something of a future, have been able to build things and run businesses and have some assets and have an income and have a wife and a life, and I'm a reasonably stable person whom that they in fact lent money so that I could buy a car. Actually, the red Dodge Viper that you guys may have seen, I took a loan to get because I thought that was a really solid investment. The bank's gonna make money over the next good number of years with regard to payments on that, so they're happy. And I'm happy because I was able to buy a car that I love at a good price that is appreciating strongly. So I think it's a win-win. Now, let's talk about WhistlinDiesel, because this gets interesting into the inside nature of YouTubing and why it's so difficult. So if you look at my own channel, it's in many ways relatively tame. Like, I mentor students, young people with regard to engineering and such. Like, that's kind of a wholesome activity, you know what I mean? And the most I do is tell like kind of snarky dad humor jokes or rant about things that are going wrong in society, etc. But I generally try to comport myself as somebody who, while maybe entertaining, and you might joke about from time to time, I'm still a rational human being that can lead a business and have a future. And generally speaking, I'm not destroying my cars, I'm not doing hugely risky stuff, and if there's anything that's a calculated risk, maybe it's a car in a racing environment with safety and things like that. And generally, I don't like to, it's just not my thing to destroy stuff, and it's not my thing to do risky crap on the street. And it's not my thing to just do lots of edgy stuff, even though we live in a time of sensationalism. Now, that being said, that is literally exactly what WhistlinDiesel's thing is with his channel. And I learned about this guy a good number of years ago. Some of my students watched him with the off-road stuff, very entertaining. And that was one that I actually subscribed to because it was bizarrely fascinating. He does interesting engineering challenges. He built those insane spike wheels for his Razor to drive on ice and snow, and that was kind of interesting to see. He decided to make a giant swing out of the Razor, and those things are kind of interesting. But that particular character as a YouTuber is also getting super famous because he's like right on the edge of disaster at all times. Now, I'm not here to judge, but I am telling you that a large percent of his viewers, which now is hundreds of thousands, are probably subscribed because they're like, how long is this gonna last before it's a train wreck? I'm just saying that's potentially what it is. And if somebody's looking at a YouTuber, regardless of whether it's him or anybody else, in terms of a person and a business and an income to make a loan to or to rent a car to, i.e. to trust money or property to, they're gonna judge. It's simple as that. So if a YouTube channel is known for people are known for running from the cops, giving crap to cops, doing stupid stuff like that, it potentially is going to be harder for them to get insurance on a car. Hello. And if you're well known for doing really dangerous stunts and destroying private property, a bank or lending institution's probably going to go because like potentially hundreds of thousands of people watching, they're looking at this going, okay, when's this guy gonna die horribly? I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. Obviously the guy's smart enough to do what he's doing, but That's what his channel is based upon and is entertaining. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist or somebody to look at it really quickly and go, this is a bigger risk than banks want to take. It's as simple as that. And with regard to renting a car, in that regard, yeah, I mean, if Hertz or something like that was gonna rent a car and they already know that somebody is really famous for destroying things and doing crazy things on camera, and they're smart enough to know it'd be really entertaining to a lot of people if somebody destroys a rental car and then tries to cash it out on insurance, they're probably not very interested in making 50 bucks a day off of somebody. They're probably just gonna be like, yeah, we don't want that kind of PR or insurance claim. It's just as simple as that. I'm not knocking it, but that is a difficulty YouTubers can potentially face. So for all the young people watching, like, do your thing. If you're gonna become a YouTuber, whether it's like a hobby or someday it becomes your main deal, you need to ask yourself before you start, what are you gonna be known for? Because the whole world is watching. And will that potentially affect your normal life outside of that? Doing business, having a home, having relationships, your family, etc. Because it will. It just will. And as another note, and this is by no means a dig whatsoever, it's just matter of fact, when I first got invited to tell VinWiki stories with Ed, really loved the channel, was really excited about the opportunity. And that was a number of years ago when the channel was smaller. So before I went down there, I had a number of stories, and I was thinking it was a long drive, and I was watching a bunch of stories of the guys that had told them before. And I thought to myself, you know, this is an awesome channel, and these are really entertaining, hilarious, or exciting stories, but I'm gonna have to be really smart at how I tell the story so I'm entertaining, but still have a career after this, if that makes sense. Because when you make videos on the internet or put out posts, etc., it's kind of like a Marine buddy of mine once told me about, firearms. It's like, once the round leaves the barrel, there's no taking it back. So you better kind of know what you're doing. Now that being said, we're all human. I'm a pretty normal guy, not normal guy, but like normal guy. I'm a real person and I live in society like a normal person. Like today I went through a drive-through in fast food and I went to the auto parts store. Like no big deal. Went to an office depot and got a new SD card, just like anybody else. But it's important, especially in this day and age. So, as far as the Whistle and Diesel thing goes, sorry, man, banks do understand modern economics. That's why the whole world's in debt and they're owed, the banks, have everybody on strings because they're owed. So it's very important to do that. But if someone is a major risk and a liability, either to hurt themselves, kill themselves, or basically destroy all the private property they've ever owned, potentially, or modify every vehicle they ever owned, banks are looking at that gonna go, yeah, no. So I'm not saying you can't get a loan. I wish you the best. So I hope everybody understands that, especially the fans of Whistle and Diesel. But I'm just pointing that out there because it's something to talk about. And with my own channel doing Genius Garage and whatnot, when I started this channel, I thought to myself, I can outbuild about anybody, but I'm not independently wealthy. Like I can't just buy ridiculous things just for the heck of it, and the economics don't work out on YouTube well enough to warrant that. But the one thing I can do is be honest and have some sort of core value and care about people. So for all you young guys or old guys or anybody that wants to start YouTube, one, it's a full-time job. It's very difficult and you're putting yourself way out there. So maybe think about what you're going to be known for before you do it, because it will affect your normal life. So that's really it. So yeah. And also shooting a high-powered rifle at metal from a few feet distance, not a good idea, just in general. Also not a good representation of firearm safety. So yeah, okay. I guess that's one of my personal opinions. I didn't actually like that. I don't think that reflected well on our country. If you're looking at a camera and it's going out there in the world, you got to think how the world's going to know you. So that's kind of it, guys. But I want to bring it up because I think it's important to talk about. So that's really it. Going to get back to car builds coming right up, crazy things, and I'm going racing in the C4 Corvette you can see behind me with NASA. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys subscribe, and I look forward to see you next time. Well, a huge shout out to KW Suspension. Guys, this year you're going to see beautiful coilovers such as this going on many of my cars, including my Porsche 944, my Dodge Viper, and even some of these crazy race cars. And the reason is simple. This is one of the best shock companies in the world. It was founded in Germany in 1992 by Klaus Wohlfarth, And recently they just launched a new 1.2 million square foot robotic warehouse where they're creating unbelievably nice suspension components such as this for 15 different original equipment manufacturers. So whether you're a street enthusiast, a weekend track warrior, or you are building the Le Mans car of your dreams, guys, check out KW Suspension. Unbelievably nice shocks. So go down in the description below, patronize them. You're going to be glad you did.